emergency for the first time in about...
This is Jim, and
Receiving this message. We are Ken Jennings and John Roderick. We speak to you from our present, which we can only assume is your distant past, the turbulent time that was the early 21st century.
Fearing the great cataclysm that will surely befall our civilization, we began this monumental reference of strange and obscure human knowledge. These recordings represent our attempt to compile and preserve wonders and esoterica that would otherwise be lost.
So whether you're listening from an advanced civilization or have just reinvented the technology to decrypt our transmissions, this is our legacy to you.
This is our time capsule. This is the Omnibus. You have accessed entry 438.EC0514, certificate number 35727. Ex-Millionaires.
I was once a great big banker worth $1 million for a time, but I lost the whole caboodle in the fall of 29.
You said millionaire.
Millionaire.
I always say millionaire.
What
but,
did I say? I said millionaire.
Well, I was watching clips of Jimmy Kimmel hosting Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Why?
I was just extremely interested in that. I don't
Come
know.
on.
I don't know if this will get released at a time when I can talk about it, but I think by the time this drops, it'll become clear why I was watching clips of Kimmel hosting. He's very good.
Yeah. It just seems like the type of thing that for you to say a thing like that, I would need to interrogate it a little bit. Like, I'm not
Really?
just going to...
You don't think I'm just watching...
oh, yeah, I was sitting at home watching Jimmy Kimmel on...
if anybody's going to watch game show clips, isn't it me? But one thing that had not occurred to me is, like Regis before him, Kimmel says, millionaire.
Oh.
Millionaire.
Millionaire.
And guess what Merriam-Webster prefers? Millionaire.
No, it doesn't.
Accent. Doesn't it sound like you're in a 30s movie on a
millionaire
on a ship across the Atlantic?
I say that.
I hear he's a millionaire. Or Barbara Stanwyck. I might have to marry him. He's a millionaire.
It seems like millionaire is what we say here in the West, at least.
Do you think that's what it is? Is it regional?
Yeah.
It had not even occurred to me that anyone out there was still saying millionaire. But every host of Millionaire has.
Doesn't that? Yeah.
Probably
really
not every
seems
host.
Like it.
Did Terry Crews say it? Did Meredith Vieira say it? Probably not.
I don't even know who those people are, but yes or no, I don't know. But I think millionaire is by far preference. It's the million that's the operative part of that word.
I guess we say well, we do say Legionnaire's disease.
Yeah, but that's French. Legionnaire.
It's French. Is that your excuse for everything?
Legionnaire.
Are there other words that have that air suffix? I can't really think of any.
Bonaire.
like when you get a bonaire? Oh, you mean the island?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like when a French person looks at weird erotica. What words end with air? This is an exciting part of the show already.
Yeah, I'm really loving it.
Maybe there's not that many. Questionnaire.
It's
not a questionnaire.
It's true.
So I think this is why extraordinaire. Concessionaire is an adjective. You have doctrinaire.
Right.
Doctrinaire. But it is solitaire. I'm not going to play solitaire. Anyway, there's just something so old-timey guy with a mayor sash about saying millionaire.
No, I believe that it should be...
Because you're not singing into a...
millionaire.
Because you're not singing into a cone or whatever. Megaphone.
Automobile.
Millionaire. So I'm glad you said millionaire.
Thank you.
But please let us know in the chat. We want to see what regions of the country are still saying millionaire.
Which people? Yeah. That's what I want.
Like your FDR in a newsreel. This show is going to be a little bit defenestration adjacent. We're hearkening back to the very first omnibus.
Well, I'm excited about that.
Because there will be people going out windows. I guess in that vein, I should note that the trope of, at least the trope, and in some cases, actual cases of people doing themselves in is part of the story of some of these ex-millionaires. So if that's a sensitive topic for you, this will have more self-harm than the average omnibus, in which usually it's just our listeners who want to do the self-harm and stop listening.
So you're saying that some of these ex-millionaires are ex-people.
Do you know the trope of on Black Thursday, 1929, stockbrokers jumping out windows?
Well, 100%. It's the number one thing that stockbrokers did in November of 1929.
It's probably the most popular thing they've ever done, I guess. But yeah, this is like a common historical trope, right? On October 24th, 1929, now called Black Thursday, the bottom fell out of the stock market, the beginning of what we now recognize as the worst depression of the 20th century. The Great Depression, I don't think it was great, but we call it, this is like Trump. I don't think it was great, but we call it the Great Depression.
I like depressions that aren't depressions.
Great. It should be called the Not So Good Depression.
But wouldn't, I don't want to get ahead here, but aren't those people technically already ex-millionaires? Oh, wait. That's the show.
Right.
The people that are killing themselves aren't millionaires.
There are the Great Depression brought two ways of being an ex-millionaire. One was your net worth falls. Number two, your net worth falls so much that you then fall.
Right, I see. Presumably, you're not still a millionaire when you defenestrate yourself.
That's right. Unless you're like so sure that there were jokes at the time about, this guy, his net worth fell from 10 million to 2 million and he jumped out a window.
See, that doesn't seem right. $2 million in 1929 money was what? You're the guy that knows that.
I looked at these numbers. We'll get into the tales of the jumpers.
Okay.
And I hope anybody who is not comfortable with that kind of story has already noped out and is listening to Margarine again. I wish them all the best. I wish them goods and butter substitutes.
I mean, one of my favorite things about the modern way of speaking is that you can nope. You could.
Nope is a verb.
Yeah, we never were able to nope before, and now that I can nope, I can nope out. I can nope a lot of ways, and I'm so glad. I like noping.
Well, killing yourself is the ultimate noping.
I guess that's right.
KYS, as the kids say.
I'm not there. I don't want to kill myself. I never did.
No. And no one should.
Oh.
I'm gonna take this.
That's a little strong.
I guess that's true. Like when Hitler shot himself in the bunker, are we for it? I mean, it didn't really affect a lot. The Russians would have shot him anyway a couple days later, right?
It's true. But there are a lot of people, for instance, who live in Oregon who might say that noping
assisted
out
suicide.
Is like a pretty good option, actually, for somebody that's super sick.
But in most cases, the thoughts of self-harm that come with hopelessness, you've seen the study about people who jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. The ones who survive
are like, oh.
In midair, they're always like, oops.
I shouldn't have done that.
That was an ill-considered move.
Yeah.
It's not defenestration when you jump off a bridge. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Debridgestration.
Debridgestration?
Probably.
I don't think that's...
I need to see your license and debridgestration.
I doubt very much.
So I have numbers on, there were 21,000 millionaires in America in October of 1929.
Can that be true? 21,000?
Well, it was more or less than you were thinking.
It was a lot more. A millionaire was a billionaire then.
Not quite, but pretty close. To be a millionaire back then, you would, it's a net worth of about $19 million today.
Okay, that's not quite a billion.
No.
As you were saying.
No, but it's
a long way from being a billion.
I didn't say it was a billionaire. You just said it was a billionaire.
No, but you said not quite, and it's like,
I see.
It seems like you could have used stronger language.
I was trying to soft pedal your error. John, that was not just wrong, but extremely wrong by an order of magnitude. Let me tell you why. It made me wonder what the numbers are like today, for example. Like if you had to be a 1929 millionaire to count today. In other words, if your net worth is 19 million or more, are there more or less than 21,000 Americans today? Do you have a guess?
I bet there are a lot more.
Yeah, it's a lot more. It's actually a 6-digit number. And it's a mid 6-digit number. Like there appear to be almost 1 million centimillionaires in America today. So 1 million people not centimillionaire. That would be 100. Decimillionaire.
Centimillionaire.
There are almost 1 million Americans with over $10 million net worth today.
How many?
Almost 1 million. 900,000 Americans.
Well, so I wonder this all the time because you drive through these neighborhoods in Seattle that are just normal neighborhoods.
Right.
And it's like
not fancy houses on a lake, just craftsmen from the 40s.
Yeah. How is that house $1.8 million?
Who is buying? Who has?
Yeah.
You're right.
This is an entire neighborhood of $1 million houses. That's not even that nice of a neighborhood. And
there are neighborhoods of $2 million houses in Seattle that are not like the nice neighborhood.
And people send me things when I post that kind of thing, where they're like, I just bought 40 acres of land in Upper Peninsula in Michigan for $190,000. What's the matter with you in Seattle? And I'm like, I don't even know. It's fine here.
Do you think it's mass hypnosis? The kids were fooled by the media into thinking that Seattle is better than the Upper Peninsula. I mean, I think there's good reasons to live in big cities, and some of them are lamentable. Like there's no, the healthcare is there are healthcare options here that you would have to be life-flighted to if you lived in rural America.
Right, that's true.
Maybe it's not great that our country is designed that all this stuff is centered in like 16 desirable cities, and everywhere else is generally agreed to suck.
But I mean, a level 1 trauma center, you have to have, I think you have to have just like, there aren't that many good.
Right. You don't want your horse vet patching you up.
Right. If you're in a motorcycle accident where you lose both your hands and they have them in an ice bucket, you're going to want to go to like a kind of hospital.
You don't want to go to a doctor who is seeing a hand for the first time.
Right.
Like usually this is a paw. I don't have the number for how many Americans. So yeah, you're right. Like
$1 million millionaires.
So there must be, $1 million 10 millionaires.
How many millionaires?
It's another order of magnitude. 22 million American millionaires. So almost 1 million with another digit, 10 millionaires. And then almost 22 million millionaires. So these, it's just people with enough, they have 2 tech incomes in their household and enough options that...
That's like 450,000 millionaires per state. I know they're
not
states,
equally. Yeah, they're probably not equally distributed.
I know West Virginia has 1 millionaire.
Wallingford has more millionaires than New Hampshire, maybe.
But still, that's bananas. There's millionaires all over. I bet you there's millionaires within a slingshot of where we're sitting right now.
Some of your neighbors. I mean, that's the premise of that. What is it? 90s financial help book, The Millionaire Next Door. When it was kind of a shocking thing for people to believe that a millionaire was actually not John D. Rockefeller.
Right.
It was just the person next door who was always driving an old Ford Taurus and quietly watching his stocks grow.
Well, my neighbors over here who constantly vex me, they are show-offs too. And I know they're millionaires just because what vulgar lamos they are.
They have a big sign that says, "We are millionaires."
Sort of.
This house, we are millionaires.
Their big sign was threatening to sue me all the time over dumb little things.
What are the signs to you that they are millionaires?
That all of the times that I said, if you sue me, you're going to be sorry, they were like, probably not.
Because we're millionaires.
And I was like, ah.
I mean, part of it is inflation. Obviously, we've just traced the fact that you would have to have $19 million today to be a Depression-era millionaire.
19 times what you could have been, what you would have been.
Can of pork and beans cost 19 times what it did in... No, wait. Yes, that's right.
$19 million.
But a lot of it is... And, I was going into this thinking, well, it's probably inherited wealth. And that is really not what moves the needle when you look at what leads to... what has piled up money at the top of American income inequality.
It's just stealing.
Yeah. And not just like the legal kind, like they are literally mugging people and taking, if you mug 1,000 people and take $1,000, you're a millionaire.
Well, now that's right. But how much of it is related to the deregulation of banking?
Yeah, it's stock markets.
Yeah.
It's stocks and securities. They've had a phenomenally good century. And so what used to be kind of a scary boom and bust part of the American economy is now kind of its own economy that exists independent of what unemployment numbers are like,
right? What
the tax code is. It's all just this kind of unregulated place for the rich to get richer. God bless America.
And it's how we get all these situations where some 35-year-old is now the CEO of a company and he lays off 80% of the people because the stock holders don't care about making things anymore.
Right. The company exists to enrich the stockholders, not to service the employees, not to make better widgets, not to increase the brand awareness or the public impression of the company. It's all about stockholder value, and that is what has led to the boom of the American millionaire.
You would be surprised, I think, to learn that I have not really benefited from the stock market over the course of my life.
It's just created two kinds of Americans. The ones who have money in the stock market and just watch it take off reliably for decades at a time with small dips, and then a larger group that doesn't have, the same kind of cultural access to that.
I wonder how much of that stock ownership is inherited wealth. Like, in order to be a millionaire, you had all these stocks, but where did the stocks come from? Most teenagers don't have $200,000 worth of stocks in instrument systems that then becomes like, if you had Microsoft stock in 1996, good on you, but there is a certain kind of sufficiently white-collar American where that's just a default part of how they get paid. Oh, yeah, my IRA, my 501k. The system now drops a certain kind of American into the stock market pool and leaves out a vast swath of Americans. Because you get vested. I've known so many people that are like, I have to keep working at Uber because I haven't vested yet. And then the day they vest, they're like, punching out.
Right. If you're in a tech company, that's one thing. You have the options in your own company and you're well aware of how long you have to stick out your crappy Amazon job to reach certain tiers. But also just you're going to have the index funds or whatever your retirement plan is. If you're one of that shrinking part of white collar America that has a retirement plan, and it has nothing to do with your company. It's just the stocks come with being upper middle class, and that it used to be a little more egalitarian, but now that the stock market routinely out-earns any other, kind of index of American economic
instead of Wikipedia, or instead of not Wikipedia, which earns me nothing, but no, instead of Bitcoin, which I should have bought in 2023 when it was down to, what did it get down to? Like $14,000 a Bitcoin. And now it's back up to,
but you do have the
100 million.
But don't you have the internal satisfaction that comes from not owning crypto?
I don't know.
If it turns out to be
I own some crypto. Remember when we did a crypto show and somebody sent me $10?
Did you ever cash out?
No, it's still in there. It might be worth $1 million by now.
Maybe you're a millionaire.
A millionaire. I went to a baseball game the other day with Rob Glazer, who started Real Networks.
Yeah.
And he was like Amazon employee number 100 or something like that. And, he's just a guy at a baseball game. Same baseball game as me.
Same seats as you, because he bought you a very nice seat.
That's right. That's right. Those wouldn't have been my normal seats, but they weren't the seats where you get a steak dinner and as many cookies as you can eat. They were just the ones. They were just nice seats.
I've only been in those once.
I know. I've been in a couple of times. Pretty nice. And you know what? That place is full of people.
Exactly.
I'm like, how are there 200 people in here with the free steak dinner at a baseball game?
Do you know what these cost?
This is thousands of dollars. Bunch of millionaires, and they're millionaires that don't know how to dress. They're all wearing clothes like a 5-year-old. They're dressed like a little leaguer.
This is your inner superiority. Like other people would see millionaires and be like, well, that car is gauche or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like, that's unethical. You're not going to heaven. But you're like, my clothes are cooler than your clothes.
Well, it's just like, oh, you're a millionaire and you're wearing brown shoes with a blue suit. Like right there, you don't belong in this baseball club, my friend. But then, of course, they own it.
They're probably not wearing a blue suit at all at the baseball game. They're probably wearing a Mariners jersey.
They're wearing a Mariners jersey that goes down to their knees because they're little boys. Ken, we've both talked extensively about how HelloFresh has made a big difference in our lives. I can't think of another product that has come to me through podcasting that I have continued to enjoy on a weekly basis for as long as I've enjoyed HelloFresh. And now HelloFresh is moving into completely ready-made meals. So HelloFresh is always kind of something we do as a family group. We do the preparation, we cook the meals, but now HelloFresh has ready-made heat-and-go meals that are still chef-crafted and ready now in just 3 minutes so you can get out and enjoy your summer afternoons. For instance, there's a Southwest-inspired chicken bowl, there's stir-fried udon with pulled pork and veggies, and a creamy Alfredo truffle cavatappi pasta, plus an Indian-inspired chicken paired with turmeric rice. Oh, the best part is they're all ready to go after a quick spin in the microwave. So, in addition to HelloFresh's normal, super good, easy to prepare home meals, a bachelor like me can keep ready-to-eat meals in his refrigerator ready in 3 minutes. That's awesome. So, make your summer enjoyable and delicious by signing up for HelloFresh at hellofresh.com/omnibus10FM and get, wait for it, 10 free meals and a free item for life. That's hellofresh.com/omnibus10FM. 10FM for 10 free meals. 10 free meals. And you can't afford not to get HelloFresh. And a free item in every box. That's hellofresh.com/omnibus10FM. One per box with an active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only, and it varies by plan. Ken, you know, part of the problem I have as an independent businessman, I know you have this too, or you did before you took over a major media franchise and all your problems went away. But for me, one of the big problems with having what is essentially a small business, podcasting and a band, is how do I manage marketing? I've tried every single thing. I've hired expensive marketing companies. I've tried to do it myself. Everything in between. Had friends do it, small boutique marketers. I'm even related to a marketing executive. And yet marketing is this impossible thing for me to unravel. And of course, how do you promote yourself? How do you promote your own business? How do you get your name out there in the world? Even Omnibus, we rely mostly on word of mouth and on the fact that it's a genius program and everybody is talking about it in their sleep practically, talking about it around the water cooler. But still, we would love to grow our business better. And now there's a solution to this marketing confusion for small businesses. You know, what do you want? You want your small business to wither and die? No. You want your small business to just stay the way it is, just eking out a living, puttering along? No. You want to grow your business. And when it comes to growing your business, engaging with customers is crucial. Most of us don't have the time, skills, or money to put towards keeping up with marketing every day. Blah, we're busy running our companies. So here's what you do. You start with Constant Contact. Constant Contact has an all-in-one platform where you can create and manage attention-grabbing campaigns in just a few clicks. Email, text, social media, events, landing pages, you name it, it's all in one place. So you don't have to juggle dozens of different tools. Constant Contact uses an AI content generator that helps you turn a rough idea into a ready-to-go message faster than ever. And with hundreds of customizable templates, it's easy to make something that looks and reads like your brand. You also get automated sending, real-time reporting, and tools that actually help drive sales. So you're not just marketing your business, you're growing it. Pricing is transparent and based on your contact list, so you're only paying for what you need, no surprises. And with a 97% email deliverability rate, your messages land far from spam. So go to ConstantContact.com and explore their all-in-one platform. And if you ever get stuck, remember, friendly phone support is included with every plan. That's ConstantContact.com.
So there's a lot of millionaires today, and there were more than you would think in 1929. 21,000 millionaires.
That is more than I would think. That's bigger than I thought.
There were a fraction of that 2 or 3 years later. The Depression did it. We imagine the, kind of the grubby Dust Bowl victims of the Depression, Okies in trucks loaded with furniture. And I'm not going to say the real victims were the rich people, but by the numbers, the top slice of the American income pie got hit disproportionately hard. Income inequality went way down during the Depression.
Isn't that the
It was goal? So nice. It was so great. It was because everybody was like eating dirt, but like the millionaires the dirt was further from what they used to eat.
Well, and stayed down, right? Stayed down until the 70s.
Yeah, World War II.
80s.
World War II helped, created that artificial burst of middle-class prosperity, strong unions, and that influx of GI Bill money. Just created this artificial era that we thought would go forever. And
all that stuff that you were always deriding me for being a Democrat.
I was...
You're like, oh, union jobs and American pride.
I never did. Well, I would deride union jobs?
No, but you're always kicking me for being a centrist.
You're
kicking at me. You can't kick me.
You're a New Deal liberal.
Yeah.
You're a squishy New Deal liberal.
Some FDR.
There's got to be a squishy New Deal liberal on the show, and it's you. You're not out there throwing Molotov cocktails at ICE like I am right after this show.
Of the two of us, I have definitely thrown more Molotov cocktails.
Absolutely right. So yeah, by the numbers, the very richest tier of America got hit very hard by the Great Depression, and to the degree, and it was clear from the beginning. On Black Thursday, there were already rumors in Wall Street firms of how many people were jumping out windows.
What, really?
Yeah, and it probably started as, or, not just brokers, but also speculators. Like, boy, how many clients have jumped out a window today, do you think, from here to Midtown?
Did you see that movie with Jeremy Irons, the one about the 2008 crash, 2007, 2008 crash?
Some HBO prestige thing.
No, it was like some fancy movie that nobody watched. Because what was the one with Steve Carell about the real estate?
Short.
The Big Short.
This was also about the housing bubble and the banks failing.
It was, but I watched it the other day, and it was like a thing where I thought, how did I not see this at the time? Let's see what AI is going to tell me. It's called Margin Call. It's from 2011.
Margin Call.
And it is...
Wait, isn't that the one? I think I've seen that. That's not the one with Ben Affleck?
No. It's, who's in Margin Call?
Oh, no,
Kevin
you're right.
Spacey.
All your favorites.
Zachary Quinto.
What am I thinking of? What's the Ben Affleck Wall Street movie? Something Room. Boiler Room.
Boiler Room.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, anyway, I highly recommend this Margin Call because it's one of these where you see all the millionaires kind of walking around in their office going, might not be a millionaire tomorrow. Then it turns out, I don't want to spoil the movie for you.
Do any of them say millionaire in your memory? Like,
no, it's a ridiculous way to pronounce it.
And the cast is all British, it seems like. Paul Bettany in an American accent is not like millionaire.
Nope. Stanley Tucci's in it. He says millionaire, I think. Maybe nobody says the word in the whole movie. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like, to them, millionaires are gauche, right?
Kevin Spacey might say million. Well, now that's a thing. You don't say million.
No, you wouldn't say it. Like to rhyme with beef bouillon?
Beef bourguignon?
The very rich eat beef million. So there's this kind of speculation going on as the indexes plummet. People are starting to not just make morbid jokes, but actually are kind of seriously wondering, like, who's jumping now? How many people are headed to the roof? Like, whoa, this is the end of. They just imagined that even though the American economy had been boom and bust for, most of the 19th century, they somehow thought the jazz age prosperity was just here to stay.
Yeah, that's what always happens.
It's just going to keep going up and up. What could happen? What could go wrong?
You're always fighting the last war.
There's an account of, I think, crowds on the street, rumors spreading just on the sidewalks that people are jumping out windows. So people start looking up. And in fact, they see a surveyor walking across the roof of a skyscraper and people just start yelling, no, don't do it. And the guy's like, it's the job, lady. I got to do it by 11.
He's got a tape measure.
It'd be funny if there was a series of misunderstandings. That'd be funny. I got to get done by 11. No, you shouldn't do that. It's a terrible act. No, it's not a terrible act. City of New York, twice a year.
Well, now here's the thing. You're a middle-aged guy. You got a family, some grown kids. You got a nice house and stuff. Is there a part of you that feels like if you lost it all, that life wouldn't be worth living? Let's say you and Mindy were just like, oh no, we've lost it all. Like we're living in our car.
It does complicate things when you have kids.
Yeah.
Because then.
But your kids could go get jobs.
It's true.
Not that either one of them would ever consider the idea.
Both my kids have jobs. But you're right. I mean, just something about the natural self-centeredness and self-protection of I've got I've got to look out for number one. Once you have kids, you can think the same thing, but feel very selfless about it.
Yeah.
Got to put my family first.
Right.
It's really a way of saying the same thing, which is I don't care about other people outside my front door, but you can feel like a better person when you say it. Yeah, I think there would be a lot of, it would help that I think if somebody's born into wealth and then they lose it, they can't imagine what it's like.
Oh, you're right.
But I know what it's like to be a student with no disposable income.
To eat mayonnaise sandwiches.
Yeah. Miracle Whip even. To just eat nothing but lick the Miracle Whip lid for dinner because that's all we have in the house.
I lived in a car multiple times and I've always assumed that's how I would end.
Yeah, exactly.
I assumed I'm going to end up living in a car again.
So I'm not sure it would be panic. It might be a bummer, but I don't think it would be. I don't think I would be like, what's even the point of life if I don't have my steak and lobster being flown in from the coast?
I think the bummer for me would be like, well, I got to sell that piano. I can't just walk out of here. The piano's worth nothing, but I'd try and sell it. Like, how much is that Seafair King Neptune outfit worth? It's not worth nothing. It's worth something, but I don't want to have to sell it. What a bore.
I guess in these scenarios, I usually imagine like not a personal reversal, but like,
collapse of industry?
The market the U.S. economy has collapsed.
So nobody wants to buy your King Neptune outfit.
So it's not like I need to, it's really just like, well, I guess I'm chopping wood door to door. I don't know. That does seem more likely, actually, than...
I wonder, in a true market collapse like 1929, did they go around evicting people? Or is it a thing where the whole market collapses? And, during 2007, 2008, there were people getting evicted, but there was also this sense of like, that's hard. Everybody's underwater now, like... I think a lot of people got debts forgiven.
A lot of those houses just stayed empty, I know, for years and years. And maybe that's after people got, because there's all these weird wrongly constructed incentives in the law now that discourage landlords and corporate landlords from just taking less money because the place will sit empty anyway, That's how loans are set up.
I told you, didn't I, when I was buying my first house in 2007, I had scraped together 20%. What I had been raised to believe was the bare minimum that a responsible adult should have to own a house.
30-year fixed rate mortgage.
That's right.
As God intended.
But the mortgage broker that I went to see was a guy that had a Stratocaster in his office, like leaning up against his leather couch, and he was like, why are you some old fogey who's putting 30% or 20% down? Like, I could get you a loan for 0% down. And you could get a 10-bedroom mansion on Lake Washington for the, and you can't but get rich from it because real estate has never gone down.
I will say, just to brag, it seemed hinky to me at the time. Like, you could tell there was something unsustainable about it. I had friends just buying handfuls of houses, putting in new kitchens and flipping them. And I was like, that actually can't pencil out.
No, it's weird.
I need to see the numbers on how a nation works doing that. But you and I both bought houses in Seattle, right before the crash.
Before the crash. All my dad's friends were like, it's the top of the market. You're going to lose everything. And I was like, screw you, old man. But they were right.
We were geniuses.
Old men seem to know things, strange thing. But, we're living in a culture right now where all you have to be is 20 and in a tight T-shirt and reviewing brands of margarine online in 30-second long videos, and apparently you become a millionaire doing that.
Well, it's funny. So when I was trying to get numbers on how many Americans are millionaires, centimillionaires, and so forth today, and one of the first things I found was a Reddit thread. It must be some subreddit for influencers. Hey, I just found out there's only this many thousand centimillionaires in America today. That can't be right. There's got to be so many more. Think of all the influencers.
Yeah, right.
The average kid thinks that, well, of course they have $100 million. They're a YouTuber I've heard of.
Sure, a YouTuber who does unboxing videos for video game consoles. How are they not worth $100 million?
Do you realize how far away even the very successful YouTubers are from being centimillionaires?
I mean, I get regular checks from music streaming companies for 72 cents. So I'm pretty sure we're not all getting millions.
We're just generally bad. It's another one of these cases we've talked about before, of being bad at large numbers. But back then, 1 million was the dazzling number that only, a tiny number of Americans had that many bucks. And, word quickly got around on that Thursday in 1929 that people were jumping, that people were dying. The Daily News reported the next day, if half the suicides had actually taken place that were rumored to, Wall Street would now be a village, because this wasn't like a myth that grew up later. This was like within hours, people are talking about window jumpers. In fact, I was looking at John Kenneth Galbraith's book about the crash from 1955. There is actually no evidence of anybody committing suicide on Black Thursday.
You're kidding.
For a Wall Street related reason, despite years of us imagining stockbrokers jumping.
This is the crazy thing about growing up in the 70s and 80s, because I still believed that Groucho Marx was like a contemporary reference. Like I dressed as Groucho Marx in 1978, not even for Halloween, but just like there was a charity auction and I came as Groucho Marx.
Yeah, I remember watching Sesame Street and seeing Charlie Chaplin. Yeah. Yes, that's what the kids of the 80s will love. Charlie Chaplin.
Whereas kids right now have never even heard of Justin Timberlake, right? Because it was 10 years ago. But for sure, the image of a man in a top hat and tails jumping out of the window of a Wall Street high-rise was a contemporary metaphor for financial straits until the 80s.
It was deeply embedded in the culture. Yeah, such that with subsequent crashes, you would see people bring it up again.
Not a single one. In the New York, it got to the rumor spun so out of control that the medical examiner of New York City had to announce in late 1929, there have been 44 suicides in the 5 boroughs this year. That is down from 53 last year. It's actually a decline. There has not been an epidemic of jumpers. So the question arises, where does the myth come from? Right.
Obviously. Part of it, as we've said, is it's the obvious joke. It's the obvious rumor. It's the obvious thing the dark joke you would make, the macabre joke you would make in a bummer of a time.
But was a guy down on Wall Street in a high rise like laughing so hard that he actually fell backwards out of a window, and that's precipitated the whole thing?
There does appear to be one kind of patient X case that led to a lot of this. A German chemist named Otto Mattis, I don't know if I'm saying that right, in the U.S. was in his 16th story balcony of the Plaza Savoy Hotel, or whatever the name of the plaza was back then. Savoy? And apparently became dizzy, according to the newspaper reports, fell from his balcony and died.
What day was this?
Well, that's the issue. It was on October 24th, 1929. So it appeared in the papers that day and may have jump-started some of this. The British journalist who heard about it and was on the scene and went to investigate and actually was the reason why this falling chemist was reported worldwide. None other than Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill was a journalist?
Isn't this crazy? There's like a decade in the wilderness where the Labour Party swoops into power. He actually loses his own seat in Parliament. It's not just that his party's out of power. He has lost his seat. And he thinks, well, I'm going to travel and write, because he was also a writer.
Yeah, that's right.
So at the time he was traveling North America, and at the time he was in Manhattan, and at the time he was staying at the Savoy, and he wrote a report back to Europe about this falling man. And it may have helped cement this myth. Unfortunately, the man fell in the early morning hours of October 24th, hours before markets had even opened. So it was just a coincidence that this kind of high-profile, odd, big city fall happened in all the world papers the day of the market crash.
Whoa!
And then the other reason, of course, is because people were just talking about it, and that became vaudeville jokes and radio jokes. Will Rogers told a joke about how it's so bad on Wall Street. There's not enough windows. People are having to line up and wait for 20 minutes to get to an open window. Eddie Cantor had a joke about how when he checks into a hotel in New York now, the clerk always says, "Yes, sir, sleeping or jumping?"
It has to be this guy falling out the window. There's no...
You think it's the German chemist?
I think the German chemist, and then the irresistible image, and then probably what first were ironic jokes or, knowing jokes, because it was like, this is too low-hanging fruit. I mean, that's crazy that one accidental fall turned into a 100-year-long.
There's a few kind of historical things like this where the trope appears to come from zero eyewitnessed events, like the thing about Vietnam vets getting spit on when they came home. That actually, I think that came up from, I think Trump was giving tropes about how I've heard they're spitting on our big, beautiful cops now, or whatever he was saying. That's another kind of thing where there is no case of anyone
shouting "baby killer" at a Vietnam vet in an airport.
Yeah, I'm sure some of them did not have 100% heroic reception, but there doesn't appear to be a single journalistic or case of watching spitting or anybody reporting spitting.
Yeah, I'd read that too over the years multiple times, and it's a trope that's used. It's been used to kind of spawn the military worship culture that we have, because it's so often referred to as like, support our troops.
We can't do what they did after Vietnam.
Yeah, all the
we can't turn our back on the
baby killing.
And those vets did have a lot of problems.
Well, sure,
but I'm sure they weren't all from one hippie carrying a guitar at an airport.
I saw Born in the 4th of July. I know how hard it was. They all had long beards that appeared to be glued on.
You're down.
And headbands made out of American flags. It was a weird time.
I just want to say the beards were maybe a result of their troubles, not the cause of them.
Yeah, but why did they all seem glued on? That was the weird thing about that era.
I don't want to totally whitewash this and say that nobody ever felt enough despair in the Depression to take their own life, because even though nobody killed themselves in the immediate aftermath, the days or weeks following the market crash, if you really go back and look, you can find there's a case in November 7th. This appears to be the earliest one, directly related to one of the brokerages, but it's just a woman who is very overworked. It's very busy. It's a terrible time to work in Wall Street. And so when she jumps, and there is a jump, it's just because she's having a terrible month at work. She's getting yelled at a lot.
That seems even a worse reason to jump out of a building.
It does. But also kind of a bummer that it's not actually the brokers making the problems who are falling. It's once again, it's the clerks. A man named George Cutler, on a week later, November 16th, a member of the New York Mercantile Exchange also jumps. So there are scattered cases.
But at that point, it's like copycat jumping.
And they probably already know. Yeah. To what degree because this happens today. It's the reason why people are very careful when mentioning suicide and self-harm in the media, is because we know that can lead to an actual uptick.
Right.
People who are on the fence can start to have suicidal thoughts. So maybe the rumor, Eddie Cantor killed these people.
I bet he did.
With his hacky joke.
Let's blame it on him.
Nice
He's
job,
responsible for the Lusitania, probably.
Will Rogers sunk the Maine, in my opinion.
It's funny to think of all the deaths that were caused by it, but it was just people riding on rocking chairs on the top of overpacked trucks on their way out of Oklahoma.
Can you imagine if Granny's in a rocking chair and then they go under an overpass?
Under a train bridge?
Nobody's measured the trestle right. Oh,
Eddie
Granny.
Cantor.
Once again. There were other deaths suicides like this as the Depression took hold and more people realized, the markets are not bouncing back. I really have lost everything. How do I tell my family? So there have been a handful of these. C. Fred Stewart, a Chicago real estate investor, put his head in the oven at the end of October. Yeah, these are not pretty stories. This one mystified me. John Schwitzglabel.
Yep. Already mystified.
Shot himself in a Kansas City club. And then it said his body was found covered in the stock pages of the paper, stock market pages of the paper. So you have to wonder what his order was there. He goes to the club, goes to the VIP area, gets bottle service, tucks himself in with the stock pages of the paper, and then shoots himself.
Maybe he threw the newspaper up in the air and shot himself, and then
as they fell
on him.
Sad case in Scranton where an engineer named Carl Matiska, who had lost everything, set himself on fire. And then when his wife tried to help, they both burned. These were
my goodness.
St. Louis stockbroker John Betts had a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. He took poison. The memorable one here is a Milwaukee speculator named Wellington Lytle took his own life and left a note saying, "I leave my body to science, my soul to Andrew Mellon," who was the secretary of the Treasury at the time.
That's a little bit of a dig.
"And my sympathies to my creditors."
Ooh,
get it?
Double burn.
So a lot of these people were like, realize it wasn't just like, wait, how am I going to pay the bills? A lot of them had taken out debts to fund these can't miss speculations that they were being handed.
Right.
Because the markets only go up, just like you and I were told about real estate.
Right.
So, that just as a counterweight, there were, plenty of people lost their lives in the Depression, many to this kind of despair, and some were these kind of high-end speculators and brokers.
Ex-millionaires.
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 And now ex-Americans, ex-people, ex-parrots.
Uh-huh.
But by 1930, there was another option for ex-millionaires. And I wasn't quite sure how to title this entry in the omnibus, but I was very interested in this option.
Was it being a war profiteer?
That's correct. You just had to wait. You had to wait for the rise of Hitler, and then there were other options. No, if you were a man of wealth and taste in 1930, you had some place to go besides out a window. You had a very appealing option if you had lost your fortune, thanks to a man named Andrew Friedman.
I know an Andrew Friedman.
Did he die in 1915?
No.
Okay, different guy then.
Okay.
Who's your Andrew Friedman? Is it interesting?
Yeah, he used to own the Liberty weird fusion super sushi bar up on 15th.
He never should have called it that. That's a weird name.
Liberty
Weird Fusion super sushi bar.
And he gave me my first email address, hotrod@capitolhill.net.
Oh, you've mentioned him before.
Yeah.
Is it Friedman with an IE?
Yeah.
Okay.
He came into Steve's Broadway News and said, "You need an email address." And I said, "I don't think I do." And he said, "I already gave it to you."
Was he saying that to everyone back then? Just
no.
Baristas?
I think he knew that I one day would have a problem on the internet. But Andrew now lives on Mercer Island.
Ooh.
Which here in Seattle is a signifier of great wealth and prestige.
It's like West Egg or East Egg, whichever one that is.
Yeah.
This Andrew Friedman is 2 E's. Friedman.
Oh.
He was a Manhattan-born, self-made millionaire. Mostly in real estate, just kind of the boring way. He was a big investor in Schubert theaters, so the rise of vaudeville really padded his pockets. He was Tammany Hall connected.
Oh, okay.
Democratic political machine. Tammany coded.
Right.
We would say today. He wasn't a politician, but he knew everybody.
He had insider.
Yeah, he had insider, and he was kind of an enforcer. Like if somebody said something, mean about some corrupt Democratic Paul, he would sock him in the jaw or ban him from the building or whatever it took.
Boss Tweed.
He knew everybody, and he was kind of a connector. He was part of the consortium of men. They were all men who put up the money to create the original IRT, the first subway line in New York. It was a trunk line that went all the way from 95th down to downtown, I think kind of near City Hall, and then little leg over to Brooklyn. So it was just some random guys tossing money in that built the subway. He owned the New York Giants for almost a decade, around the turn of the century.
Back when that wasn't making anybody any money, probably.
I think he was hands-on, though. I think he was one of these guys who would go in. Yeah, it's true. Like back then, you did not need to be a super bajillionaire to own a sports franchise. He was just a guy who loved sport and loved the outdoors and was like, yeah, I'll put down $38,000 or whatever it takes to buy the club.
I'll put down $38,000.
I'm a self-made millionaire. There are stories of him benching pitchers for just a year for being disrespectful or for an error.
Oh, he's a real tough cookie.
Maybe not the nicest guy in some of these stories. Lifelong bachelor, so we can speculate all we want about that.
Nice guy, never married.
At age 45, he did propose to a Rothschild, to Elsie Rothschild in his Mercedes, tooling down some thoroughfare, tooling down Broadway or something.
What do you mean he yelled out the window like, hey,
baby, are you a Rothschild? No, they were seeing each other, I assume, and canoodling. And I think she accepted him, but for whatever reason fell through. This also seems to be the kind of like the thing that can raise eyebrows when the confirmed bachelor finally proposes to another moneyed woman at 45, but it doesn't go through. You you can't definitively say who was gay or not, but you sure can't say he wasn't.
Right.
A big turning point for Andrew was 1907.
That's true of everybody. You can't say anybody isn't gay. You can't prove a negative.
Who knows? Like 20 years later, they might come out.
Yeah.
Were they gay?
They may
then?
never
Maybe?
come out, but we're always gay.
We're all a little bit gay.
Tell you what.
I mean, there's some Kinsey number, even if you're all the way to one side.
You got a little bit. 0.001.
In 1907, there is a titular panic. They didn't used to give things good names. They would just be dates.
Yeah.
The Panic of 18 whatever. The Panic of 1890 whatever. The Panic of 1907.
Do we give things good names? Because I just think it's the same.
We say the
now.
Great Recession.
Yeah, but that's like a dumb term. The Great Recession.
You think that's like Operation Enduring Freedom?
I just think that a recession by definition can't be great.
I see.
It's like a boo.
But were you complaining about the Great Depression all this time?
No, the Great Depression is great. It's like, it's a world war. You can't say,
I see.
It's sort of like the World Series.
It's not that the recession's not fun enough to be great. You're saying that it doesn't have the magnitude to be great because it was just a recession. It wasn't even a depression.
It's just a like pip, pip, sip, sip instead of like.
Well, we're recording this on what maybe seems not unlikely to be the threshold of another unforeseen world economic collapse.
Yeah, who knows,
this one might have a name.
Yeah, I think it's going to have a name.
It's unusual enough. Most of these are not like self-inflicted, like where you can watch the bozo,
right?
Like in a football game where you can watch the guy throw the interception and you can see, wow, he was throwing into coverage there.
Yeah,
right. Like this one is even more foreseeable than 2008.
It's like running the play on the 2-yard line at a Super Bowl.
Yeah, don't run a little screen pass there. Why bother?
Ken, I would rather eat 10 slugs than shop for car insurance. I would rather eat 20 slugs than shop for car insurance. I think I would shop for car insurance before I ate 30 slugs, but 26 slugs, I think I would still rather eat the slugs than shop for car insurance. But there's a new way to shop for car insurance that maybe will save me from eating a single slug, and it's called Jerry. Jerry simplifies car insurance shopping by handling the entire process in one place. It's a seamless start-to-finish car insurance shopping experience that compares quotes side by side. To get started, you go to Jerry, you answer a few simple questions one time, and Jerry quickly compares quotes from over 50 top-rated insurers. You don't have to fill out endless forms. You don't have to jump from site to site. Nobody's going to call you with a sales call. You don't have to eat any slugs. And you personalize your options. You get 24/7 support. Jerry even cancels your old policy for you, so you don't have to go through the discomfort of calling an insurance agent and saying, sorry, your policy doesn't work for me anymore. And it doesn't stop there. Jerry will alert you to rate and price trends in your state so you know when it's time to shop for a different insurance policy. You never have to stress about overpaying for car insurance again. Jerry has helped more than 5 million customers find the best car insurance. So, here's what Ken and I are going to do for you. We're going to help you stop needlessly overpaying for car insurance. You're going to save on an average of $110 a month. That's more than $1,300 a year. So before you renew your current policy, do yourself a favor, listen to Ken and John, download the Jerry app, or head to jerry.ai/omnibus. In just a few minutes, you can compare quotes and coverage side by side from up to 50 top insurers. Jerry, car insurance made simple and finally on your side. Now, this is based on drivers who switched and saved with Jerry over the past 12 months. Over 20% of drivers who switched with Jerry found a monthly premium of $87 or less. That's less than I pay for my phone. Not all drivers, however, will find savings. Ken, I've been watching you on TV, and it seems like you have kind of solved your hair loss problem. What once was a little bald spot reflected those stage lights is now a thick, tousled head of hair. I wish I could say that my former thick, tousled head of hair had accompanied me through middle age, but I'm feeling it get thinner and thinner all the time. And until very recently, I thought that losing my hair was inevitable. There's nothing I could do. It had already happened. I reached up one day and I was like, where did all my thick, lustrous locks go? But it turns out that there's a solution to my problem, even though my hair has already thinned, and it comes in the form of Hims. Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work and that have multiple methods of application like chews, pills, serums, and sprays, whatever suits your fancy. These are doctor-trusted, clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil. These can stop hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You, like I, can start from the comfort of our own home. We just fill out an intake form and a Hims medical provider will determine if treatment is right for us. If prescribed, our treatment will be sent directly to us for free. The process is 100% online, which means you could get started right now. It's never been more convenient. And no insurance is needed. There's one low price and it covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Plus, treatment options start at just $35 a month. Well, that's less than I spend on, golly, what do I spend less than $35 a month on? Almost everything in my life is more than $35 a month. Hims has helped hundreds of thousands of men get their confidence back with visibly thicker and fuller hair. So, start your free online visit today at Hims, that's HIMS.com/omnibus. HIMS.com/omnibus for personalized hair loss treatment options. Make sure you put the /omnibus in there so that Hims knows that you've come from America's greatest podcast, The Omnibus Project. Hims, HIMS.com/omnibus. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Anyway, in 1907, the market dipped to an extent that Andrew Friedman almost lost everything. And it really appears to be a come-to-Jesus moment for him. It changes his thinking. And we don't know, he didn't start talking to people about this. We don't really have any firsthand documentary evidence of his process here. But when he died, again, a bachelor, leaving no heirs, he's got a brother and a sister and a mom, I think, to take care of. But he has decided that they will receive a relatively small part of his estate. The majority goes to a cause that appears to have been troubling him since the Panic of 1907, so the last 8 years of his life. He wants to open the Andrew Friedman Home, which his will describes as being a place, quote, for the free and gratuitous reception, shelter, nourishment, care, and maintenance of aged and indigent people of both sexes, and without regard to race or religious creed, with the proviso that the selection of residents be confined to those who have been in good circumstances, but by reason of adverse fortune have become poor and dependent, and that in case of husband and wife being received in the institution, provision shall be made that they shall dwell together therein. He wants to create a
charity home
for ex-millionaires. And it appears to be like he and his executors, I don't know who's talking here, but the philosophy appears to be defensible to them in that, the poor people have to go to the poorhouse, but they don't mind.
Oh, because they're already poor.
They've always been poor.
Oh.
Like when you see an old poor person living in poor circumstances, it's not happy.
Right.
It's a little bit glum because they're not living in somewhere nice. But to the point of view of millionaire Andrew Friedman, they don't know any better.
Right.
They've been living in shabby circumstances their whole lives.
They went from eating a can of corn to half a can of corn.
But think of someone who has been to the Riviera of a summer.
Right.
You know, think of someone who used to have a place out on Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard.
Lobster dinner.
And now these people
living in their cars
are suddenly having to, in old age, are facing shabby and to him, that was the greater tragedy because the gap is more different between what they were imagining for themselves and what they want. It's kind of an unusual way to see philanthropy.
Yeah, but was this poorhouse then going to sustain them in this high style?
That is exactly the idea. Just as you want an iguana in a terrarium that looks like the desert, and just as a poor shabby person should be in a poor shabby garret when they're old, a rich person who has known overstuffed upholstery and pile carpet should be in a place that surrounds them like a zoo that surrounds them with the surroundings to which they were once accustomed.
But if they look behind the curtain, will they see it's all propped up with 2x4s, or are there actually going to be servants and delicious food?
He did not want a Potemkin village. Wow. He left $5 million. And once his next of kin, his mother and sister were dead, I guess, apparently, then the bulk of whatever was left would also go to this project, the Andrew Friedman Home.
Phenomenal.
A poorhouse for the rich, as it were. And as you can imagine, as you and I are kind of enjoying this story now, there was contemporary merriment over the following years and then decades. It took a while to get this off the ground, what with World War I and all. And finding a site and building
also a millionaire killer.
A lot of millionaires. I mean, younger millionaires, right? It would have been inherited wealth dying off there.
Right.
Just various Downton Abbey characters. I don't remember.
That's right.
Probably. And so in the subsequent years and decades, there was a lot of fun poked at this idea, because it does seem like something from a screwball comedy, right? It doesn't seem like a real thing that there would be all these millionaires sitting around in their dinner costumes pretending that they were still rich just because they were old.
If I could put Judd Apatow to work instead of making the kinds of things that he makes, to say make a movie about a millionaire poorhouse.
There should be more high concept comedies, right?
Yeah.
Like today, it's just get some of your friends. We have a house in Van Nuys. It's all going to be about how, marriage is hard when you're a middle-aged comedy writer.
The lights went off suddenly and I kissed your wife.
We'll all be playing middle-aged comedy writers. What happened to high concept comedies where Richard Pryor has to spend $1 million or he doesn't inherit $5 million?
Exactly.
That's a movie. Well, Jackie Gleason should hire Richard Pryor to be a plaything for his rich children.
Yeah,
that's a movie.
What about
all my ideas have Richard Pryor?
What about needing to get some Coors and bring it back?
That's important.
For a big party.
What if you live in a state that doesn't have Coors and you need to get it very fast? That's a comedy. High concept comedy's kind of dead, huh?
It is.
So they went all out. Friedman's executor was a man named Samuel Untermeyer, who was a big New York big shot lawyer at the time, and his name is well known today because what once was his palatial estate in Yonkers is now a big Untermeyer park.
Oh yeah.
He insisted that.
So he bought off on this concept.
He was forced to by the will. $5 million and then more when the other Friedmans died was at his disposal. That was a lot of money back then. Again, multiply by 20 something.
Right.
So that's a 9-digit sum.
A lot of money.
Is going to go into creating this place. He agrees. It was very unusual, by the way. You saw the clause about how couples will stay together. That was not typical. If a couple got old and one of them had to go into a home, they were separated. That was standard at the time. So he's being, compassionate and progressive by saying that the couples should be allowed to enter together. Although Untermeyer did add the proviso that if you were a single resident of the Friedman home, you could not then marry an outsider and have them brought in, because think of the gold diggers.
Oh, I know, the gold diggers.
Think of the elderly gold diggers who would be attracted. So you were not allowed to marry outside the home if you were a resident. You'd have to marry a fellow.
Oh, you could meet a foxy cohabitant.
Because that would actually be good. That would probably open up a space. You two could move into a single room. In the end, Untermeyer chose a spot, and by the way, open to all races, colors, and creeds.
I noticed that.
Photos of the residents that I can find don't seem to make it a hotbed of diversity. But there
might have been a lot of Jews that wouldn't have been let alone.
That was the difference back then, especially after World War II. A lot of and in the years, from the 30s on, a lot of emigre Jews, who met the qualifications of being embarrassed ex-millionaires,
right?
Temporarily embarrassed rich people
right,
because they had left or lost their fortunes
in Vienna,
due to the Third Reich, and so a thriving community of European Jews lived at the Friedman home.
So now a couple of questions. How would you for sure demonstrate that you had formerly been a millionaire and now were out of money?
Yeah. I don't know what the intake process was like, but they certainly had room for 130 people. When it opened in 1924, there were just 17 members, but that ballooned very quickly. I think at first it was kind of hard to find the traditional, I owned a railroad, now it's gone, kind of guy. It was somebody who was the head of a company and had lost it all in a bank panic. And that's probably what Friedman was picturing.
Yeah.
Millionaires like me, because he's a scared old man, like many old men are. He's like, what if I lost it all? There should be a place for people who share my greatest fear.
Right.
But it was hard to find people who exactly fit that model. So what you wound up with was a lot of professionals. Doctors, lawyers, some engineers, some creatives, people who had once been actors of note, opera singers. And for whatever reason, they'd all fallen on hard times.
But there was no distinction made between someone who had fallen on hard times through no fault of their own and someone who had blown their money and been like dishonest. Or
I mean, you have to imagine if there's an interview process, if it's somebody who there were, headline making embezzlement scandals because he brought down his whole steel company, I can certainly imagine that guy not being at the top of the list. But it does just seem to be a matter of who had heard of it. And really what they want is what Friedman wanted was just the gentility, So what you want is the right vibe. You're worried about bringing in people that create this beautiful palatial home.
Right.
Because that's what it was. It was on the Grand Concourse, then being built in the West Bronx, to this day, a 5-mile thoroughfare with just a lot of beautiful, all the apartment building. It was the greatest time to build apartment buildings. Beautiful Art Deco and Art Moderne residences lining this main street and kind of a newly developed and designed, kind of Brasilia designed part of the Bronx. But the Friedman home was not in that style. They wanted something that kind of had it would remind the people of their past, their moneyed past. So it was just kind of a Renaissance design. Beautiful manicured lawns outside. New wings were built later, but the original building had, just these beautiful lobbies, big fireplaces, a billiard room, a paneled library with books in 8 languages for our educated guests. This is not the shabby old folks home that you were afraid of. This has all the finer things. Marble showers in everybody had private guest rooms with a marble bathroom. No expense was spared.
Well, what I know about rich people, which is a lot,
because they invite you to baseball games.
They do.
You're their jester.
But what I know about that's right. Hey, hot cha cha. Well, one of the things I know about them is that if you had an old folks home that had some rooms or some apartments that were better than others, even marginally better, one floor up or a slightly better view, that the rich people would be making the case that because I'd formerly been richer than these people over here, that I should get the nicer room.
There had to have been that, right?
Right.
I don't know of any memoir for, because people would come there in their old age and not leave much of a record and maybe not stay long. They'd at the most, they're going to live there a decade or two. So I don't know of any memoirs about what life was like in the home.
It seems very White Lotus-y.
I guarantee.
Yeah.
It is White Lotus.
White Lotus season 2.
And pretty much when you, every hotel, even for the upper middle class, imagining themselves rich kind of people staying at a hotel, they've created a lot of this, if you're a Hilton Silver member, we'll put you on the 8th floor or above. If you're a Gold member, you're going to get complimentary breakfast and one of our deluxe rooms. It's not a suite, You're
right.
At the other level, there's another, they've even done this in hotels now.
Yeah, but at this place, nobody's got any money. So there's no, we paid more.
They still have to dress for dinner. The impressions are all of dinner in the lacquered Chinese dining room. And the home would not pay for example, their bridge steak, or if they wanted to travel, or if they wanted to buy cigars, the home would not keep every aspect of their lives in the manner to which they'd become accustomed. But the thing about it was free. Wow. Like it's completely paid for by the Andrew Friedman Foundation.
Super bizarre.
If you pass the interview, just by virtue of having once been reasonably rich and then having had the sorrow of being less rich, you should deserve a free accommodations in luxury at the end of your life.
It does. I mean, you've been in situations just because you were once a teenage boy where you were in a group of people who were trying to outbrag one another past the point where it was clear that nobody was telling the truth anymore.
About specifically
just
wealth and luxury.
Yeah. Or like what they'd done. Like, I was the one. Or
when you're a kid, a lot of it's your dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. Well, my dad has a driver.
But they're all still dressing for dinner. So they're all still pretending.
Yeah.
And then they must just sit at dinner talking about how wealthy they once were and trying to one up one another. Like, what a dull place to live.
I wonder if it's a little better than that just because they couldn't get 130 because if you can imagine 130 tycoons all talking about their glory days, it would be bad.
Yeah.
But what if they are just doctors and lawyers and engineers and opera singers? I mean, you're still going to get, any conversation with somebody above a certain age is going to be like, well, here's that story again about the summer of '06, So there's going to be some of that.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not as insufferable as we're picturing because they weren't actually the ultra rich.
Yeah, that's probably true. If it was the ultra rich, they'd be like, I'm at the Tsarina.
If there were, there actually was, I think, maybe a Russian royal.
That checks out.
Yeah. America was lousy with white Russians at the time. This place lasted for 59 years.
No, it did not.
Yeah, that would put us in the 80s, it looks like.
Wow. And how many millionaires went through the doors?
130 at any given time, but if you imagine the average stay to be about a decade, maybe, then it turned over 6 times on average. So close to 1,000.
How? And so did the $5 million endowment that then grew over the years, did it continue to grow and pay for all of this?
It grew and then it shrank. $5 million then, what did we say? That's, multiply by 20 or so. So it's, it's over 100 million, but you can't run Harvard on a $100 million endowment, even though it seems like a lot of money.
Well, you didn't used to be able to, but times might be changing.
The number's probably got to start with a B if you want an institution to be self-sustaining. In the 80s, the foundation finally started running low on money. In the end, it was taken over by just a Bronx senior citizens council that kept running it as a retirement home. Didn't kick anybody out, but no longer had to observe the eccentric tenets of Mr. Friedman's will.
Boy, that must have been a weird change.
Imagine if you're one of the last people there on the I used to be rich clause, and then who's this guy?
Or one of the first who's like, well, I used to work at a store.
First Dominican guy who used to own a bodega is like, boy, do we still have to dress for dinner? The culture probably changed. I don't think it stayed an old folks home for that long. I looked it up to see what it is now, and it appears to have been a daycare. A lot of the space became a daycare, daytime childcare for a while.
Whoa.
I have to assume
seems like wasted luxury.
The flagstone fireplace might be gone. The lacquered Chinese dining room might be gone. I don't know.
What's it called now?
It's still called the Friedman House, I think, but now it's mostly an event center. So I think some of the nice stuff must still be there because presumably you could get married or have your bar mitzvah there. And it's also an art space, so maybe some of it's not so nice. So there's gallery exhibitions there. I think it's an artist kind of co-working, co-op kind of a space, some of it. But yeah, it's just big old grand mansion surrounded by still the manicured lawns and English gardens that
it's like I'm looking at it. It's like neo-Italian or something. It really does look like something you'd see in Florence. It's huge.
Yes, and it doesn't look like anything nearby, but it was to make a statement. Here, people from the past live their old lives. It's like Disneyland Main Street for railroad tycoons.
Wow, it's beautiful. I wonder.
I wish it was still an option for us.
Well, somebody asked me the other day, if you suddenly had $100 million, which is not the $100 million that you would have if it had been ye olden times, but it sounds like $100 million is the $5 million at that time. If you had $100 million, what would you do? And it's clear that $100 million is way too much to just like travel. Like that's ridiculous, right? Yes. And you're not gonna, various people are gonna do different things. And this is the kind of question, like, that's a lot of money.
You certainly don't need to worry anymore.
You're not going to worry. Your kids
it's not like I'm not going to run out.
But that's not the problem, right? The problem is what you're going to do with the 75 other $1 million that, you and everybody you know is rich or everybody you care about. And then there's still...
It's largely a philanthropic problem to me. Is that how you think of
it? Yeah, absolutely. Like, what do you do? Either you give it away or you start something that helps, right? You start some kind of foundation or business or...
Are you following kind of the discourse, the trend away from starting something? Because for years, everyone would start something. Of course, you want to have your name on whatever it is.
Right, a foundation or something.
And I feel like it's maybe the Mackenzie, whatever Mackenzie Bezos is going by now. Like her point of view is, no, you just give insanely large checks to people who already have the infrastructure and the organization. You don't need another competing startup in the space. Like what if just the best malaria charity had $200 million more this year? I bet they could save a lot of lives.
Right. It does seem like that is a good idea, except you would really have to do due diligence on the ones that are good. Like you don't just wantonly give it to the Red Cross or something unless you're pretty sure how they're going to spend it. Because a lot of those charities you end up seeing, it's like, wait, there's 60% overhead.
Right.
Right.
Like famously, the Red Cross is a good example of like, is that really the most bang for your buck? Probably not.
Exactly. But for me, the idea of small scale change in Seattle seems to be a place I'd be more interested in than, malaria work, right? Like I would like to make Seattle a more livable place, and how to do that, because $100 million isn't enough to build a subway, right? You can't do a municipal scale project, but you can talk about land use and you can talk about being able to, Paul Allen.
You could target specific stuff.
Absolutely.
You could be like, it would, if I could save this business, it would help this neighborhood, or Seattle would be much worse off without these guys.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
And for me, it's always been like homeless mothers. Like, how do you accommodate specifically mothers? And there's no real kind of infrastructure that's like, well, there has to be a school there, and there has to be there. It can't just be the same as your typical homeless housing. But then you think, am I like you were saying, wading in to some nonprofit space where people have been trying to solve this problem for 30 years, and they have $100 million endowment, but they're bogged down in some kind of bureaucratic, like all this stuff.
Right.
You really need to hire a couple of people to sit with you and really research every move.
It's tricky because then you've got the overhead, then like, boy, this is money that could have gone to a good cause, but instead I'm spending it on my own fears about researching the good cause.
Yeah, exactly. And then everybody I talk to about, because I brought this up over the last 20 years to a lot of people, they're like, well, but then what are you doing? You're just building a new Cabrini Green. And it's like, stop saying that. Stop throwing Cabrini Green in my face. I'm trying to solve problems here.
Yeah, that's pretty awful when it's like, I don't like when the first thing you hear is like the but in some cases,
right.
Like when people lead with but in some cases, the policy objection, that's when those people are not actually that interested in solving the problem, I think.
But what if I took that $75 million and built a giant hotel for former rich entrepreneurs?
Imagine the guy picturing that's the biggest need. That's because I think about this a lot. Like, where can I do the most good? Like, is it fun to do it in Seattle where I can keep an eye on it and have the expertise? Sometimes I feel like that's a little bit blinkered. Like it's a little self-centered.
But it's 1,000 points of light, right?
I guess that's the argument for it. But imagine somebody thinking, I've thought a lot about this, and what I really need is to make sure the rich can still dress for dinner.
Well, it's not that. It's like, what about all the 27-year-old entrepreneurs whose business crapped out, and for 2 years they were worth $80 million, and now
Who will think of the NFT owners?
Yeah, exactly. All those people that bought NFT apes, all those influencers that thought they were going to be worth $100 million.
It's got to be musicians for you, right? Because this is a common thing in the arts. Like, you need to start the John Roderick home for musicians whose bands never got signed.
Well, that's the problem. Musicians never had any money, so they've always just been eating a can of corn.
This place is going to be so cheap to run.
If you gave them a can and a half of corn, they wouldn't know what to do.
Every room has an amp and a can of corn.
And that concludes Ex-Millionaires.
Millionaires.
Ex-Millionaires. Entry 438.EC0514. Certificate number 35727 in the omnibus. Futurelings. Social media can't possibly still exist even 6 months from now, because as Ken and I were discussing earlier before the show, AI is going to make it impossible to believe anything you see. How are you even going to know if your aunt is mad about chemtrails? Because it could be AI.
Everything will switch to performance that cannot be replaced by AI, and that means live performance. Icecapades, coming back. Punch and Judy shows, coming back.
If I don't see it with my own eyes and hear it with my own ears, I'm not going to believe it's true. And in the case of a lot of 9/11 deniers, they don't even believe it when they did see it with their own eyes.
It was on every channel, and they still don't believe it.
But in the case of social media, if you do want to see what it used to be like, you can go to @KenJennings, @JohnRoderick. You can go to Blue Sky right now and see Ken and I just sort of flopping around like dead trout, dying trout.
The water levels have fallen.
Yeah, still trying to make funnies over there. You can email us at theomnibusproject@gmail.com and send us your congratulatory letters. You can hang out with other futurelings by putting the word futureling into the internet to see where it directs you. Go to the place you're most comfortable. You can send us actual mail to P.O. Box 55744, Shoreline, Washington 98155. Ken, what about the address 18336 Aurora Avenue North, Suite 105, apartment 55744?
Oh, that's how you send stuff to a P.O. box if you're dealing with a carrier that says they don't deliver to P.O. boxes.
Oh, right. Sneaky.
Apartment 5574. It's a tiny little apartment we have.
Uh-huh.
It's the size of a shoebox, and it happens to be at a post office.
There are a couple of hedgehogs wearing waistcoats.
That's exactly
and green
right.
visors.
They live there, and they love to get our mail.
It sounds to me like you've got some mail you're opening up.
Yeah, I was noisily opening mail. Let me see. We have a postcard here from Peter, who...
How do you noisily open a postcard?
No, I was noisily opening this package. And then I got actually my fingers stuck in the tape, and so I was in some kind of cartoon character situation where I was stuck in the envelope I was trying to open.
Time to go live in a home.
That's exactly right. This didn't used to happen when I was younger. Peter has just caught up with every omnibus.
Good man.
And now that he supports the Patreon, he says he's going to start listening to the addenda because he's out of shows.
Oh. Here's a new one for you, Peter.
He says, greetings from the most active volcano in Japan. He is on Kyushu, apparently, and sent us this picture of Sakurojima erupting.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, that's like a St. Helens-style plume. I assumed this was some eruption I would have heard of. Nope. This is just happening in Japan occasionally. Who knew? And then Sharon from North Dakota, I believe, the one whom I anger when I have any skepticism about the delights and attractions of North Dakota.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
She sent me a framed photo. Can you tell who this is?
That's Lawrence Welk.
It is
a young Lawrence Welk.
A man. That's what I was. It was a man with an accordion, and I was like, "Why did she send me?" And then I was like, "Oh, that's Lawrence Welk." And sure enough, the back says he was born and raised in Strasburg, North Dakota.
I feel like that's probably right.
I guess the idea being that I should not. How could I be skeptical of a state that has produced American legends like Mr. Lawrence Welk?
Are you going to, that's kind of a cool little frame. Are you going to put that in a place of pride in your office?
I was a big Lawrence Welk fan as a very young child.
Yeah.
Because it was, it was still on TV. you could tune in syndicated Lawrence Welk. And I guess when my parents had it on, I was a fan.
I remember well because he had all those dancers and the choirs. And it seems like, knowing your office as I do, it seems like you would have to kind of limit the number of tchotchkes that are there with all of your Emmys and all of your Lego Millennium Falcons.
I don't have a picture of Lawrence Welk, though.
But that, I think, would fit right in with the keys to the city of Dubuque, Iowa, and everything else in there.
I wish it were autographed. Maybe it's not too late to reanimate the corpse of Lawrence Welk.
It's too late. Oh, or you're saying in the future maybe there's enough of him left.
New technology will allow us to produce new Lawrence Welk autographs. I don't want to speculate on what that avenue is. Is it strapping him to a board and opening the ceiling so that lightning strikes him and allows him to start signing things again?
It's alive!
Maybe it is. Sharon says, "Can I watch 2 episodes of Jeopardy every Monday to Friday?"
Wait a minute. 2 episodes a day or 2 episodes at some point between Monday and Friday?
My guess is she means twice a day.
Wow.
Because there are markets that will show a Jeopardy and a Jeopardy rerun.
Oh, I see.
I don't think we live in such a utopia.
No.
Thank you so much, Sharon. That I will be putting up that photo of Lawrence Welk. John is right.
Very nice. I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
A 1 and a 2.
Futurelings, what you can do best. Maybe the best thing you can do is to go to patreon.com/omnibusproject and pledge some small amount of money to the continuing success story of Omnibus LLC. Your contributions help us make our addenda programs. We're now filling our Patreon with cool photos of Ken and myself skateboarding and sipping out of a soda with 2 straws. It's a wonderful, fun time. It's a fun time. So go to patreon.com/omnibusproject.
Listeners, from our vantage point in your distant past, we have no idea how long our civilization survived. We hope and pray that the catastrophe we fear may never come. If the worst comes soon, though, this recording, like all our recordings, may be our final word to you. But if Providence allows, we hope to be back with you soon for another entry in the Omnibus.
Omnibus.
Millionaires.